Just one misplaced item on the altar can be enough to bring misfortune to the entire family. Wealth disappears no matter how hard you work. You stay broke, and no matter how much you pray, nothing seems to work. The altar is not just a sacred place for worship, it is also the energy center of your home. You can think of it as the spiritual heart, a place where blessings flow in from your ancestors, from heaven and earth, and from the universe. But once that heart becomes polluted by placing something that should never be there, the entire flow of energy in your household can be disrupted. In today's video, I am going to show you 5 things that must absolutely never be placed on your altar. Even just one of them can drain your wealth, disturb the peace in your home, and silently erode your good fortune without anyone realizing why. This is not superstition. These are practical lessons from applied Feng Shui and time-honored spiritual rituals passed down from generation to generation. Before we begin, drop a positive comment below to activate your lucky energy. I am ready to cleanse my altar and attract abundance. Or my home is a place of blessings, and there is no room for bad luck here. And do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you will not miss out on powerful knowledge about Feng Shui, Buddhist wisdom, and ancient rituals. Together, we are building a community that understands deeply, lives mindfully, and draws in all that is good. And right now, let us dive into the most important part. Let us take a closer look at the 5 forbidden items that must never be placed on your altar unless you want your wealth to vanish and misfortune to strike out of nowhere. Number 1. Soulless decorative objects. There is a very common mistake in modern life turning the altar into a decor corner, a space meant to look impressive or eye-catching rather than a truly sacred place of worship. Many people unknowingly place things like colorful crystal beads, zodiac animal figurines, travel souvenirs, or cute little knickknacks just to fill empty space or make it livelier. But they do not realize every single item on the altar carries energy, and if it does not align with reverence, it can easily cause spiritual disruption. Objects like these may look beautiful, but without a consecration ritual, without being blessed, and without any sacred meaning, they are considered spiritually empty or impure energy. They turn what should be a tranquil space into a chaotic mix of energies. It may not seem like a big deal at first, but over time, people in the house may begin to feel mentally scattered, anxious, or unfocused in both work and life. An altar is a sacred realm, a spiritual bridge between humans and the divine, between this world and the higher one. Placing even a small, inappropriate item is like allowing an uninvited stranger into a holy place. This unfamiliar energy, if left unchecked, can weaken the family's blessings. Our ancestors were very clear about worship practices. If you do not know where something came from, do not place it on the altar. If it has no role in spiritual offerings, keep it away. Their philosophy was, the mind must be pure, the ritual must be respectful, and the altar must remain sacred. Careless placement turns the altar from a spiritual center into a lifeless display shelf, devoid of any divine connection. One more crucial point: never worship what you do not understand. If you do not know who or what an item represents what it means, or where it originated from, then no matter how Feng Shui friendly it appears, do not place it on your altar. Sometimes the object might belong to a different belief system or vibrate at a conflicting frequency, and mixing it with a Buddhist altar could lead to subtle spiritual disharmony. The best advice is to simplify your altar. Do not sacrifice spiritual clarity for visual appeal. Only keep what truly represents reverence: a Buddha statue, incense bowl, fresh flowers, clean water offerings of fruit, and a small candle or worship lamp. Everything else, if it does not have a clear purpose, gently remove it, place it elsewhere, and allow your altar to breathe and fulfill its sacred role. Number 2, wilted flowers, dried flowers, or anything carrying dead energy. In Eastern spirituality, especially in Buddhist and ancestral rituals, fresh flowers are always considered one of the purest offerings. Flowers symbolize life, present moment beauty, and sincere devotion, giving the most natural and pure essence of nature to the divine. Every blooming petal is like a prayer, a bridge between the living and the invisible. Flowers by nature carry strong life force energy. They represent beauty, freshness, and purity, and are a way to offer our best to the Buddhas and ancestors. But once the flowers wilt, their life force is gone, and they become carriers of low vibrational energy, attracting gloom, negative energy, and even wandering spirits looking for a host. One key rule: never use dried flowers for worship. No matter how beautifully preserved they are still lifeless. Offering dried flowers to the altar is like presenting a soulless gesture to the sacred. The ancients strongly avoided this, as dried flowers signify endings, decay, and carry the potential to bring bad luck. If flowers on the altar have wilted, they must be removed with respect. Do not just throw them in the trash that is considered disrespectful. The proper way is to bury them under a large, healthy tree, where natural energy can neutralize them or release them into a clean river or stream, while softly saying, "May this offering return to nature and cleanse all stagnant energies in this sacred space." Number 3, items discarded by others. In both Feng Shui and spiritual traditions, each sacred object holds its own energy field, especially things like altars, incense, bowls, oil lamps, vases, Buddha or deity statues. Over time, these items absorb energy, both good and bad, from the people who worshipped them and the environment they were kept in. If a home went through serious misfortunes, financial collapse, family breakdowns, or spiritual disturbances, the sacred items there likely absorbed all of that. Bringing them into your own home without proper cleansing is like inheriting someone else's spiritual baggage. Even if you did nothing wrong, your life might start feeling off constant setbacks, household tension, inner restlessness. If that is happening, ask yourself, are you using someone else's old worship items? Many people out of frugality take home discarded wooden altars, beautiful Buddha, statues, antique vases, and so on. But spiritual objects are not like regular furniture. You cannot just reuse them carelessly, especially when you do not know whether the previous owner treated them with sincerity, followed proper rituals, or committed any worship errors. It is better not to bring them into your home. If reusing is absolutely necessary, then cleansing and reconsecration is a must. You can use incense smoke, 5-element water, made with cinnamon, star, anise, cloves, agar wood, and sandalwood, or pray for 3 consecutive days while burning incense to purify the item. During the ritual, you must say a prayer asking to release the old energy, send it back to its origin, and cleanse this object so it may now serve in peace and reverence. Spiritual practice is not a game, and you should never use old items just to save money. Sometimes old spiritual items are not just objects, they are shadows of a fate that has already collapsed. Bringing them home is like opening a door to poverty, misfortune, and instability. Number 4, unknown, deity statues, talismans, or spiritual dolls. First, you must understand, Buddha statues are not the same as deity statues. Buddhas belong to the path of enlightenment they represent: wisdom, compassion, and egoless being. Deities, however, are part of folk beliefs and are often associated with power, protection, and wealth. Energetically, these two systems operate on different frequencies and should never be placed together. Doing so could create invisible conflict on your altar. Another mistake is placing modern spiritual dolls such as Kumanthong, a popular money-drawing doll in some Thai traditions. These dolls, if not properly consecrated, meaning the ritual of invoking spirit and life into them is done, are nothing more than empty vessels and may become hosts for harmful wandering entities. People buy them hoping they will bring wealth without realizing that improper rituals can open the door to dark energies. The same applies to talismans and charms. Many people collect or receive them or buy them online, thinking they are spiritually powerful, but they have no idea who blessed them, what tradition they belong to, or whether they align with Buddhist principles. Placing them on a Buddhist altar, which must remain purely sacred, can create chaos or a heavy, unsettled atmosphere. The best solution is separation. If you truly wish to keep deity statues, talismans, or spiritual objects, set up a separate place for them. Do not mix them with your Buddha altar, and once you bring them home, perform proper activation rituals known as opening the eyes or spiritual awakening to align their energy and avoid confusion. Number 5. Broken Buddha. Statues, chipped paint, cracked surfaces. A Buddha statue is not just a sculpture, it represents enlightenment itself, the embodiment of the Dharma wisdom, compassion, and wholeness. When you invite a Buddha statue into your home and place it on the altar, you are welcoming a sacred, elevated energy into your living space. But many people are careless with this. Some leave chipped paint unattended. Others keep statues with cracks or missing fingers or damaged bases and continue to worship them. What they do not realize is when a Buddha statue is damaged, the symbol of completeness is no longer whole, and that subconsciously impacts the faith and mental state of the worshiper. As the old saying goes, a damaged Buddha wounds the heart. A wounded heart leads to misfortune. When you keep a broken statue, even with just a small crack, it is as if you are lighting incense before a broken sacred form. This throws off the altar's energy balance. Over time, it creates unease in the home. You may find things constantly going wrong, prayers not being answered, or a string of inexplicable bad luck. If you currently have a damaged Buddha statue, do not throw it away casually. That is deeply disrespectful. Once a statue is brought home, it becomes spiritually active and carries sacred energy. Disposing of it improperly may lead to unintended spiritual consequences. The right way to handle it: light incense, recite a short prayer sincerely from your heart. Then take the statue to a temple and offer it back to a peaceful place. This act is called returning the statue. Many temples have special areas for collecting damaged or old statues and handling them with proper rituals. If you cannot bring it to a temple, wrap it carefully in white cloth, write a simple dedication, and bury it under a large tree in your garden, a quiet place where no one will step on it. Avoiding forbidden items is not enough. If you want your altar to truly gather spiritual energy and bring in good fortune and prosperity, then its arrangement must also be done correctly. Now is the time for us to explore this essential part together. Number 1. The right direction. One of the most crucial yet often overlooked Feng Shui elements is the direction of the altar. It should not just look good or fit nicely in the space. It must face the right way, aligned with the right energy, and in harmony with spiritual principles. According to traditional Feng Shui wisdom, the east and southeast directions are considered ideal for placing an altar, and this is not by coincidence. The east is where the sun rises, symbolizing new beginnings, life awakening, and the blossoming of wisdom. In Buddhism, light is the symbol of enlightenment, the ability to see through ignorance and overcome the darkness of suffering. When your altar faces east, it does more than align with the natural energy of heaven and earth. It also carries the meaning of a fresh, positive start. Each day lived in mindfulness. The southeast in the five elements theory corresponds to the ton trigram, which represents intelligence, flexibility, and smooth-flowing prosperity. This direction brings in auspicious winds, ideal for those seeking academic success, career growth, or deeper spiritual development. Many people place their altars wherever seems convenient or visually pleasing, without realizing that the direction the altar faces is also the direction that energy flows in from. If the direction is misaligned, or worse, directly opposite the beneficial energy currents, the altar becomes nothing more than decoration, losing its vital function of balancing and enhancing the home's energy field. However, it is not always possible to position the altar to face east or southeast, especially in modern apartments, narrow townhouses, or limited spaces. In such cases, energy flow can be harmonized by hanging a bagua mirror outside the main door, or placing Feng Shui tools like a wenchang pagoda or wealth-gathering vase to help stabilize and channel positive energy throughout the home. Number 2. A stable and steady altar shelf. What seems like a small detail actually plays a foundational role in building a sacred altar space: the sturdiness of the altar shelf or stand. If the altar wobbles, leans to one side, or feels unstable, it reflects shaky faith and blessings that are easily disturbed. Our ancestors always chose solid wood, elevated and well built for their altars, not just for durability, but because only a stable foundation can hold spiritual energy, bring peace of mind, and make rituals effective. Think about it. If your altar shakes every time someone walks by, or the incense bowl trembles due to uneven surfaces, how can that space possibly gather and hold sacred energy? Beyond the physical issue, a shaky altar symbolizes internal instability. In homes where the altar is not stable, family members often experience more conflict, indecisiveness, and sudden, unpredictable shifts in their careers or personal lives. That is why, before investing in expensive spiritual items, check to see if your altar is solid, both physically and energetically. Another vital element is lighting. Your altar should have a gentle, consistent, and stable light source to maintain a clear and bright energy field, representing clarity, enlightenment, and awareness. On the other hand, an altar placed in a dark corner with poor lighting or cast in shadows over time can generate stagnant energy. This darkness often leads to confusion, mental fog, and energetic blockages in both your home and your mind. The best option is to use oil lamps or warm-toned electric lights, soft but steady, placed behind or on both sides of the altar to create a gentle halo of sacred light. Absolutely avoid flashing or color-changing lights. Not only do they disrupt the altar's energy, but they also destroy the solemn and sacred atmosphere essential to spiritual worship. Once your altar is properly arranged according to Feng Shui, there is one more important thing you must not overlook: the way you perform rituals. Light incense and maintain daily spiritual practices. When people think about worship, most only focus on lighting incense or offering food, but very few pay attention to their inner state or the manner in which they perform the rituals. In reality, in spiritual Feng Shui, Your mental and emotional state during the ritual is the most important aspect, because even a proper ritual loses its power if the heart is restless. Lighting incense is an act of connection between the physical and the spiritual realms. It is the moment you offer your prayers, silent or spoken from deep within your heart, to the Buddhas and divine beings. That is why you should never light incense in a rush with impatience or when your mind is scattered. Take a few minutes to slow your breath, calm your mind, and only then light the incense with clear intention, knowing exactly what you are praying for. That is what it means to be sincere. Additionally, your altar space must always be clean, pleasant-smelling, and neatly arranged. A dusty altar, one that smells musty or is attracting insects, is a sign of disrespect. It not only diminishes the sacred energy of the space, but also slows down the flow of positive energy throughout your home. A neglected altar is a sign that the connection to the spiritual world has been ignored, and sooner or later, this will begin to affect the fortune of the entire household. The water placed on your altar should also never be treated casually. The best option is filtered rainwater or natural spring water, because these are gifts from nature carrying pure vital energy. If that is not available, at least use clean filtered water and change it every day. Never allow the water to become cloudy or contain sediment. Fruits and flowers used as offerings must be fresh, not bruised, spoiled, or giving off any unpleasant smell. Avoid fruits with sharp thorns, such as durian jackfruit or soursop. In Feng Shui, thorny fruits symbolize aggressive energy and are believed to invite conflict into the household. Instead, prioritize round, brightly colored fruits like apples, grapes, oranges, and bananas. These are not only visually pleasing, but also symbolize wholeness and abundance. Another important rule: never light incense when you are angry, upset, or immediately after an argument. A chaotic heart brings chaotic energy. A mind filled with anger will cancel out the blessings of the ritual. If you have just argued with someone at home, take a moment to cool down, breathe deeply a few times, and only then approach the altar, using the act as a way to purify yourself before connecting to the sacred. At the end of the day, worship is not about begging for blessings. It is about maintaining your connection to your roots, to the divine, and to the quiet, sacred part of your own soul. Even the smallest detail on your altar can affect your wealth, health, and peace of mind. Not because spiritual rituals are complicated, but because when your heart is calm, life becomes balanced and truly peaceful. If you are feeling stuck in life, if your household feels unstable, if wealth seems to come and go, do not be so quick to blame fate. Take a moment to look at your altar. Perhaps within that sacred space, you will find the answer to the things that have long puzzled you. If you found this video helpful, do not forget to share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to the channel, so you can continue joining me on this journey of discovering the powerful wisdom of applied Feng Shui and spiritual living, helping you create a life that is more harmonious and abundant every day. And before you go, leave a positive affirmation in the comments below, such as, "I am ready to adjust my altar and welcome good fortune," or "My home is a sacred space that gathers spiritual energy and attracts prosperity." That declaration alone is already the first step in allowing good energy to begin flowing into your life. I will see you again in the next video, where each stick of incense, each flower petal, carries a gentle but deeply meaningful awakening.